2, 1, go.
Hey, good morning, Anne Arundel County. Welcome to today's Anne Arundel County delegation meeting. Before we conduct business, I would ask the Secretary, Mr. Massey, to take a roll call.
Okay, this roll call is for delegation meeting 21 February 2025. Vice Chair Simmons,
Here.
Delegate Bagnall,
Present.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Here.
Delegate Baylor, Delegate Chang,
Here.
Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Howard,
Here.
Delegate Jones,
Present.
Delegate Kipke,
Present.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Pena-Melnick,
Present.
Delegate Congolo,
Present.
Delegate Rogers,
Here.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Pruski.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We're going to begin by the Pledge of Allegiance prayer by Delegate Heather Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Divine Inspiration, as we approach the halfway point of this session, as the days grow long and our tempers grow short, we pray for strength, for guidance, and for grace. Grace for ourselves, grace for one another. Let us look to one another with kind faces, open hearts, inquisitive minds, and shared purpose. And remember that we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Help us drop our shoulders, release our breath, and share in the warmth of this community as we do this most gratifying work. Amen.
Thank you, Delegate Bagnall. I want to remind everybody the first portion of this meeting following our votes is going to include a joint hearing. I'll announce that at the appropriate time. We have 2 special guests today, Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth and Congressman Steny Hoyer. But before we do that, we do have a few business items that I'd like to take care of. And I also want to announce that Senator Guile, Senator Lamb, and I'm trying to see if we have anyone else here joining us from the Senate delegation. I think that's it. We want to welcome them. I'm sure we'll have others as well. But a delegation announcements. This is a reminder to all delegates that dues for the Anne Arundel County delegation of $65 are due. Remember, this takes care of our hospitality. We mentioned earlier, if you're in the building, we actually have those. So please make sure you make that out. You can contact our Secretary, Roger Massey, if you have any questions. We do have a request, and I'm going to honor this, and we'll see in a second, because we had a bill initially that was just for discussion today, but because of the nature of its urgency. So I'm going to ask and move up on the agenda HB 1343, Anne Arundel County Property Tax Daycare Centers and Child Care Centers. I would ask Delegate Jones to now present.
Thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you, colleagues. This is House Bill 1343. As we all know, we are in the middle of a child care crisis in Maryland. Comptroller Brooke Learman her office did a comprehensive report regarding the link between our economy and child care. HB 1343 is a delegation bill, property tax, daycare centers, and child care centers. It is for the purpose of exempting personal property used in connection with certain large family child care and the taxation in Anne Arundel County. It is enabling legislation. 4 other counties do this: Frederick, Howard, Harford, and Montgomery. And this has been endorsed by the Women's Caucus of Maryland in a child care package for the state. It's a straightforward bill. And on the line, we have Ethan Hunt from the County Executive's Office, who is also in support. So if he or Hannah Dyer is also here, would like to say anything or have any questions answered, they are available. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I ask for a favorable report. I'm sorry, Chairman. Let me also add, due to the unbelievable schedule that we've been pulling in delegation, this bill does in fact have a hearing in Ways and Means imminently. So thank you for letting me bring this before you. I ask for a favorable report.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the initial presentation by the delegate? Okay, it's my understanding that there is a possible motion on the floor. Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would ask, given that the hearing is imminent, could I make a motion to suspend the rules and vote the bill on the same day as the hearing?
Second.
Okay, there's a second to that. Stuart Schmidt, Delegate Schmidt.
Just have one quick question for the bill sponsor. Thank you, Chair. How many people would this help and affect? Would it be 50, 500? Do we have a number? How
We
many
don't have a
daycares?
number from our analysts. However, there are approximately, I have in the state how many daycare centers that this would potentially help. 2,426 licensed childcare centers and 4,006 registered family childcare facilities. At the end of the day, this is a small business bill, which not only would provide more family daycare centers in Anne Arundel County and get more parents back to work, and they have the ability to get them back to work, but would also help small businesses stand up those family-owned childcare centers.
Excellent. Thank you. Sounds like a great bill. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Delegate.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing no other hands, I'll just double check one more time to make sure. We have a motion on the floor to suspend the rules and vote on this bill today. That's been probably moved and seconded. Delegate Kipke, did you have a question?
No, I was saying hello to Chairman Foreman on my way into the building and didn't have it on mute, but thanks.
Okay, tell Chairman Corman we said hi as well. Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor. It's been probably moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, could you please, do we need I don't think we need a roll call for this. We could just do a voice vote. So all those in favor of moving forward with suspending the rules and voting on this bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, I take that as passed. This bill is now up for a vote. If the sponsor, somebody wants to make a motion to move
Move the
forward.
bill.
Okay, so second. Okay, any further discussion on HB 1343, Anne Arundel County Property Tax Daycare Centers and Child Care Centers? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the vote.
This vote on 21 February 2025 is for House Bill 1343, Anne Arundel County Property Tax Daycare Centers and Child Care Centers. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes.
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard. Delegate Howard. Delegate Jones.
Yes.
Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman.
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick.
Yes.
Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Delegate Howard, one more time.
Yes.
By a vote of 16-0, a full delegation, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Moving along, we have two other bills, and then we want to obviously get to our guests. The first one that we're going to cover is Anne Arundel County HB 971, Anne Arundel County Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park Advisory. Again, just to give you a brief thing as the sponsor, this was the establishment of a Crownsville Hospital Park Advisory, including many folks, just advisory in nature, to make sure that we're obviously covering and reviewing the plans for the park. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move the bill.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on HB 971? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote, again on 21 February 2025, is for House Bill 971, Anne Arundel County Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park Advisory Committee. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard, Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, by a vote of 16-0, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. And last bill before we have our guests was HB 453, Anne Arundel County Development Impact Fees. I'm going to turn it over to my vice chair if anybody has questions. But I want to remind everybody about this bill. Again, for the purpose of repealing certain limitations on the authority of Anne Arundel County Council, notice I said council, to grant exemptions of forms of credits against development impact fees and related to those fees itself. I do have an amendment at the desk. And I'm going to read the amendment. It is HB 0453/143928/1. And let me explain the amendment. And actually, I'm sure if she wanted to, Delegate Bartlett could chime in. But one of the concerns that Delegate Bartlett had was related to the broadness of the request in the current bill. This limits the impact fee to a construction development project that is moderately priced dwelling unit, is an accessory dwelling unit as defined in section 18-101, complies with the requirements of 18-10-174 for workforce housing, or qualifies for impact fee credits for conveyance of land or construction received and accepted by the county for the County Board of Education from a development, including the construction of a contract school by a developer or the agent under an agreement with the State Board of Education. And last but not least, the convenience of construction meets the same needs of development impact fee to expand capacity of the requirements in Article 17. So essentially in the vernacular, this puts some limits on the bill. The county council still has to approve all of any impact fee exemptions. It's not just the county executive saying, waving a wand and this is in. This is puts the limitations in those categories. And I'll ask any questions or any motions regards to this amendment. Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just curious if anyone knows, and if not, I'd like a follow-up on when is the last time Anne Arundel County did a study on impact fees, on the collection of them, the distribution, because this has come up in other counties where it's not always clear how well the county has done with collecting these fees and how often it exempts them.
That's a great question, Delegate Lehman. Anybody from the county want to respond? The last time there was an impact fee review, I know that there's been several different studies, but I'm not sure it's covering what she's requested.
Certainly, I can answer that. Ethan Hunt for Anne Arundel County. So we actually had an impact fee assessment that was done by a consultant that we contracted with, and it was completed fall of 2023, and it's on our website, and I can share it with you, Delegate Lehman.
Okay, that would be great. And just quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. How often, do you know, and if you don't, I can take a look, are impact fees waived in Anne Arundel County? Is it common, uncommon?
So Delegate Lehman, I will speak as a former council member, very uncommon. I think there was one time when I served in 8 years that it happened. Now, obviously, this bill does provide a little more leeway, but it's very rare that it does occur.
Okay, good to hear. Just briefly, in Prince George's years ago, there was a request for a study, and it came to light that impact fees were being waived way too often, or just not even paid, not even formally waived, but not even paid for school impact fees. And I know Chair Pruski, how important that is. So thank you so much for the information. Thank you.
No question.
Delegate Chisholm.
To follow, I think it's rare, but hardly ever. I do have a question. because I want to understand the amendment. So all of these that are now in the amendment would never be qualified for the waiver. Am I correct? So the ADUs, some of the specialty schools that you got listed here, they could not get a waiver from the impact fees?
So I'll let the county speak specifically because I know we worked on additional language. I know that in speaking with Delegate Bartlett, her piece was to narrow what would be included. And remember, the county came in regards to moderately dwell housing and other things, but I'll let the county speak specifically what would be included and not.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ethan Hunt again for Anne Arundel County. So currently the county does not have the authority to waive impact fees for any of these types. And so this amendment would give the council the authority to, by ordinance, waive it.
Okay, I didn't think ADUs paid it. You pay impact fees when you build. I didn't think we would pay. I don't know why we would pay an impact fee on an ADU. Maybe I'm wrong. And typically, the impact fee is when you're planning and zoning and getting ready to build. ADUs are obviously an additional dwelling unit. I don't know why it's in there, but that's why I asked the question, because it confused me on the amendment. But this just gives them even broader authority that all of these people can, I guess, apply for a waiver. The county can grant the waiver on all these things that are listed here, though, if I understand it now. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I'd like to move the amendment.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion on the amendment? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote taken on 21 February 2025 is for amendment to House Bill 453, amendment number 143928/1. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
No.
Delegate Howard,
No.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick,
Yes.
got
Can
it?
you hear me?
Yeah, we got it. That's a
Thank
yes.
you.
Delegate Congolo,
No.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, by a vote of 13-3, the
Right.
amendment passes.
Roger, I apologize. I had a call that came in. Please record me as no. Thank you.
All right, we have changed your vote to no. Mr. Chair, that changes the amendment vote to 12-4, still in favor, and the motion passes.
Okay, is there any motions on the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Okay, Delegate Chisholm?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't particularly like the bill before because we should be applying all laws and fees equally. Now with this amendment, as I see it, it says including the construction of a contract school by a developer or a developer's agent. One of the biggest uproars we had in Anne Arundel County was about developers coming in and flexing a muscle and kind of getting special treatment. And look, these developers, God bless them. I'm glad they provide a solid product, but they shouldn't be getting special treatment. And I think there was a lot of pushback on both sides of the aisles about developers getting, special treatment to come in. I just think whatever we do, we should always be applying laws equally and equitably. And that's not what this bill does. And with the amendment, it's even giving greater flexibility to a group that has met serious public pushback in the past. So I think in good governance, I'm going to vote against the bill. I just want to explain why I was against the bill. And I think it's better for the county just to go ahead and apply. I understand why we need impact fees. I don't like how high they get, but I understand them. I mean, of course, we need them because you have to have infrastructure, and you have to have schools, and you have to have plumbing and water lines and power lines and all that. So they're a needed fee. So I don't think we should be carving out anybody to make it easier for them to give them an advantage over some other group or a private builder or somebody along those lines. So that's just my point on that. Thank you for your indulgence.
Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could someone explain, either the sponsor or the chairman, why the provision is in there for contract schools? I found that kind of curious as well.
I can explain that if you'd like, Mr. Chair. So that's for it's the conveyance of property for a school or to the county, conveyance of land to the Board of Ed. So if it's like, say a developer is building something and it will, if it's adding seats to a school in that area, they convey land to the Board of Ed for a school expansion or a construction of a new school. Or if, in order to meet the traffic adequate public facilities ordinance, there are road improvements needed, rather than pay the impact fee, the developer just goes ahead and does the road improvements themselves. So they're not being waived from the fee, but rather than paying the fee, they're just doing the work themselves that the fee would have paid for. If that makes sense.
Kind of, but so it's not a reference to like a Monarch type school or a charter school. It's not a reference to the type of school, or it is?
No, it's not to the type of school. It's the conveyance of property to the Anne Arundel County Board of Education.
Okay, so I guess what's throwing me off is the term contract. Where does that fit in?
Let me pull up the amendment. I can.
I heard it as contract school, but maybe I heard it wrong, and I don't have the amendment in front of me, obviously. And I'm asking this question.
I would have to, let me find out what that term means, but I believe that the school is built, I believe it's by contract.
Okay, by contract by whom? A private developer or?
It's the developer and the State Board of Education. So that.
Okay. Okay. I'm okay. I'm a little confused. I'm a little concerned about setting a precedent with that, but okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, let me just add one thing, Delegate Lehman, because I understand your concerns and where you're going with this. One of the things that's important to understand is that the Board of Education first has to vote, so the whole body, to convey any land. And then also you have to go in front of the county council as well. There's a two-step process for that to see what's there. So I want to make that clear. In addition, particularly in my area in West County, there is not a lot of land. So sometimes we do have to look at alternative ways to make sure that we have schools and other things. So I kind of understand from that angle. But I did want to highlight, because one of my concerns when I first saw this bill, and I mentioned it before, and it goes to Delegate Chisholm and your point, is where is the kind of public notice? Where's the approval? The county council has to vote on this. This is not something that just somebody waves a wand, it's there. So you have several backstops in place where the school board has a public hearing, county council has a hearing, and those things will be posted. So that's kind of where I would say, from the public notice piece and discussion, that would be discussed, as you said, in terms of making sure people are known. So.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate the explanation, and I think the transparency part of it helps a lot. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Okay. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Do we have a motion and approved to move forward? Okay. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote on 21 February 2025 is for House Bill 453, Anne Arundel County Development Impact Fees with Amendment 143928/1. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
No.
Delegate Howard,
No.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
No.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
No.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
No.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, by a vote of 11-5, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point in the agenda, before we go into bills that are either introduced or reconsidered, I want to thank for her patience. I know she's been waiting. I want to introduce our former colleague in the Senate and also our new U.S. Congresswoman. I just want to thank her for reaching out. I know that her staff has been very helpful when we've had requests, but at this point, I do want to turn it over to Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth. Welcome to the delegation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And it was pretty nostalgic just now, so thank you for letting me listen in. And congratulations to everybody on the almost halfway mark. I know the nights are long and the work is heavy, but you are doing incredible work, and me and my team are particularly grateful to you. So I know I only have 10 minutes. I'm going to do about 5 minutes of brief remarks, and then I do want to leave it open, Mr. Chair, for questions if that's appropriate. So first and foremost, it's wonderful to start my day in Anne Arundel County. I'm physically in Anne Arundel County. Next, we're going to visit the Howard County Community College, then lunch with the mayor and town council in Mount Airy up in Carroll County. I have a little sliver of Carroll County, and then back to Howard County today. So really appreciate the ability to be in all 3 jurisdictions of the 3rd today. I do want to take a moment and introduce my staff. Three about 15 are on today. First, Jamie Diatley is my chief of staff. Folks might remember Jamie from his time with Congressman Hoyer and Congressman Anthony Brown. So he is a veteran of the Hill and the Maryland delegation. So thank you, Jamie, for being on. Next is Eva Lewis, who was our district director. Again, a very familiar face to many of you. Eva last served in Comptroller Brooke Learman's office. So Eva is in charge of the whole district side of the team, which is about half of the team. And then I also asked Chris Pumphrey to be on. Chris is our director of Constituent Services, comes to us from Senator Cardin's office with over a decade of experience handling casework and constituent services. And so I asked them to be on today. They will be walking around Annapolis if you have not already seen them. I know they met with, I believe, the senator's staff so far, and they're due back for a full day in Annapolis to meet with your staffs on the 28th. Really important to me that we continue to operate as Team Maryland. There's casework that my office is capable and happy to handle on behalf of you. Everything from IRS issues, Social Security issues, veterans issues, immigration issues, and yes, even passports. We actually had a good success story last week of getting a passport rushed for a constituent. That can't happen every time, but we're glad to have that success story last week. And so we will have underneath Eva and Chris, there are a number of caseworkers in the office who are assigned portfolios. Those are just a few of the federal issues that we see. But when my staff meets with you and your staffs, you will have their contact information as a one-pager, as well as all the casework that we are very happy to help handle. What we like to say in our office, there's no such thing as a local issue, a state issue, or a federal issue. If a constituent comes to our office, we want to work hand in hand. If it is a state issue, we'll work with you and your teams, depending on where the constituent lives, to help address that issue. But we're not going to direct a constituent to just call you. We're going to work with you to make sure that that constituent is best served. We also have, you will be meeting with Taylor Donahue, who's in charge of all of our special projects, including earmarks and including Academy nominations, which are really important to us as well. So you'll meet with Taylor too. I'm going to switch gears to the last, I've been your member of Congress for just about a month and a half now. And as you read the headlines, it is as chaotic as it looks. Two particular concerns of many of the issues happening in Washington right now. Two, I think, have an oversized impact in the 3rd Congressional District. First is the federal employees challenge that we're seeing. So folks might not know, but the 3rd Congressional District is home to 44,000 federal employees and many, many more other employees who are on contract base, particularly the folks around the Fort Meade area. And so the challenges we're seeing out of the White House in terms of the fork in the road email, in terms of the firing of probationary employees over the weekend has an outsized impact on our district than other districts. I think we believe we're the 5th or 6th most dense congressional district when it comes to federal employees. So I want to just point out that we have a resource guide on our website, and I'm going to ask Eva if she could drop that link into the chat as well. Please feel free to share that with your constituents if they are impacted. And of course, we are here to help. We have filed a number of pieces of legislation to address this in the House, but being that I am in the minority party, we're not sure that those will come up for a hearing or a vote, but we are trying our best to assist people on an individual basis with that resource guide. The other issue that I believe has an outsized impact on our district is President Trump's funding freeze that started as an executive order that was rather vague. There were a few clarifying memos that I think only caused more confusion. There have been at least 2 court cases and a restraining order. But we have heard from many, not just nonprofits, local governments, community colleges, hospitals, even our public safety community that is the receiver of federal grants. It's been very chaotic and confusing. Even in that executive order is under a restraining order, a number of those entities have been physically locked out of the funding portals. Now, my office is here. We've had some success when we've heard about these issues to unlock those funding portals. And so please, come to me, come to Eva if that is the case, and we will do our best on an individual basis while the courts are working this out to make sure that those funds which have been appropriated by Congress, I think that's a really important note here. These are funds that in the last budget, bipartisan budget, have been appropriated by Congress. And so for this purpose, we will, of course, be going back in to negotiate a budget by March 14th. Those negotiations are happening right now. And I will be back in DC for our DC work starting on Monday. And so I'm sure I will have much more to share during those budget negotiations before March 14th. I'm going to stop there for questions, Mr. Chair. Let me just close with, I may be working in DC, but I still live in Annapolis. I'm still a neighbor for most of you for the next 45-ish days. And so would love to, during session or after session, grab coffee or breakfast or an adult beverage and have more of these conversations on an individual basis. This is Team Maryland. That doesn't just include the federal delegation. That includes every single one of you and our local partners as well to be successful and to best serve our shared constituents. So I'm going to pause there, Mr. Chair, and please cut me off as soon as my 10 minutes are up.
No, you're good. Congresswoman Sarah Alford, thank you again for providing those updates. Looks like we do have a few questions or comments. So we'll start with Vice Chair Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome back home, Madam Congresswoman, and thank you for all of your positive energy and the influence that you bring to Washington representing our county. 2 issues pertaining to my district, 12B, some stuff I discussed with you, one being dealing with our postal zip code, the 21225, and how over decades that through several different leadership changes in that district, we have been trying to address that. I know that you're aware of it. I welcome your advice and your leadership on it. We've been trying to talk with our constituents, myself and Senator Lamb, in reference to how that is a federal issue. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're talking to our constituents about civics and what does that mean and how do we engage our public. So we look forward to working with you after session out in the district. We're going to make sure we give you a summary of what's taking place in our district so you are aware. and thank your staff for coming around. In addition to that, I just want to make sure that on your radar that we focus on the Office of Emergency Management, not only here in Anne Arundel County, but throughout the region. The Office of Emergency Management plays such a critical role in our preparedness. As you see in other states, when things have kind of went off the rails, it's the Office of Emergency Management that have stepped in to kind of restabilize these communities. So I want to ask that you continue to look at ways that we can build on Anne Arundel County Office of Emergency Management, Annapolis Office of Emergency Management, and throughout the region. And anything we can do to help you do your job better and support your staff, please let us know. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Delegate Simmons. Yes, we are on top of the zip code issue. Even I just spoke about it yesterday, and there's a couple different pathways to solving that. We're bringing it back up on our weekly staff call on Monday to figure out what the best path is. And then on emergency management, as when I was senator, we had 2 tornadoes and countless floods of record in Annapolis. Of course, Howard County is impacted by flooding as well. Real challenge, and something I am losing sleep over when we talk about these federal funding cuts to FEMA, and our emergency preparedness is particularly gives me anxiety as well. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Alfred. Thank you for your energetic and very comprehensive summary of all the work you're doing. My question is about other federal services. We're all concerned. I'll speak for myself, alarmed by these cuts to federal agencies in general, and layoffs and firings of staff. But you mentioned, for example, being successful in expediting someone's passport case. Are you seeing other impacts of the policies of this new administration on just general I guess day-to-day functions and efficiency of agencies?
That's an excellent question, and something I too am really worried about when we talk about reductions in the federal workforce. I know we're going to be joined by Congressman Hoyer in a minute, and I'm going to steal his line, but he always talks about we need to, perfectly happy to have conversations about the right sizing of government to ensure that federal employees are capable of delivering services. And that right number is not a moving target per se, but happy to have a conversation about that. I don't believe that's what's happening right now. I believe that we're seeing, I wish I could share, but some of the constituent calls we've been receiving, people who are, weeks away from their probationary period ending. This is their dream job, folks who changed careers or just changed job titles and were, in my view, arbitrarily let go over the weekend. So the impact of these firings, we have not yet seen a direct impact on services, but I think it doesn't take a tremendous amount of thought to see how, if we are reducing without any kind of strategy, without any kind of plan, the federal workforce, we are bound to see impacts on services delivered, be that through Social Security. We're certainly going to see challenges to Medicaid. The budget proposal that we just received last week calls for about $880 billion worth of cuts to the committee that's in charge of Medicaid. So we're going, we are just going to see impacts for our constituents one way or another. So that's certainly a concern that we are dealing with every single day in the office.
Thank you, and keep up your good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we have a few more questions. As a reminder, we also have Congressman Steny Hoyer and 3 other presentations. So try and be brief, folks, if we can, but we'll go to Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Congresswoman. Great to see you. What is the best way to find that resource guide or best way to have constituents reach out on? And I'll tell you the reason I asked that question. I fall in District 5, as you know, a little bit closer with Congressman Hoyer's district, but I'll have a lot of people that work in your district. And so a lot of what you brought up this morning was great information. They're reaching out in droves about the firings and what to do and their probationary period. So if you could help me with that, that'd be awesome.
Of course, I'm going to ask again if Eva or Jamie or Chris can drop it into the chat, and then we'll also email it all around to everybody. Really important for your constituents who might have lost their jobs when it comes to filing for unemployment insurance. As we all recall from the pandemic, they have to file it in the jurisdiction where their job is located. So if their job is at, let's say, Social Security or the Naval Academy, they could file for UI in Maryland. But if their duty station, if you were USAID, for instance, is DC, they have to file for that UI in the District of Columbia. So just proactively communicating that with your constituents, I think is going to save a lot of headache for folks. And of course, that we've also listed that kind of nuance in our resource guide as well.
Thank you. Looks like Delegate Bagnell's next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much, Congresswoman. It is a pleasure to see you here in our delegation in this new role. I just also wanted to thank you for continuing to keep a face to our Medicaid population. I know that we have a lot of uncertainty, and obviously I'm chair of the Public Health and Minority Health Disparities Subcommittee. So having an understanding of what is coming down the pike is very important, as we're as you know that we're in budget discussions right now, but also understanding what our Medicaid federal match is going to look like in the future. So thank you very much for continuing to put a face to all of the beneficiaries of those benefits. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. If I could close, Mr. Chair, I think where I would like to ask this group for help is, there's a lot of mudslinging happening in Washington right now. And sometimes we have these conversations about policy or budget line items, and we completely take the personal side out of it. And I know that regardless of party, each and every one of you is here to serve your district, your constituents, and regardless of party affiliation, the impacts that some of these cuts are going to have on our shared constituents. And so if we could just take the politics out of it. When we talk about Medicaid, we're talking about 664,000 children in Maryland. We're talking about senior citizens. We're talking about new mothers. We're talking about, some of the most vulnerable people in our communities who, that's their primary health coverage. And so if we could just focus on the people here, I think we can collectively tone down some of the rhetoric and just focus on, what we're all here to do, which is serve the public.
Thank you. Delegate Howard, quickly, so we can move on to next speaker. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all the work that we did together in South County. Appreciate it. And, we're very different politically, but yeah, we always worked well together, and I appreciate the resource. I really had a question about the resource guide that Delegate Schmidt asked, but just wanted to thank you. Just put that kind of personal note in there. So.
Thank you very much, Delegate. And I've been told by my staff there is no chat function. I forgot about that here. So we have the resource guide is with the chair's staff. If y'all could send that out, but you can also, you all have my cell phone number. If you don't, I'm happy, please always reach out to me. I'll get it to you over cell, or you can reach out to anybody from my team. We'll get that to you. And of course, we are here. This is a team effort. And I'm just excited to continue. I miss you all, I promise, but I'm excited that we still get to work together in this new capacity.
Thank you, Delegate Howard, and thank you, Congresswoman Sarah Elford, for joining us today. We appreciate it. I do know that if we get an email with resources, our secretary sends it out to the entire delegation. So if that email is sent, that will be sent to everyone and their staff. But I just want to take a moment on behalf of the delegation for thank you for coming in. And I know that we can reach out and especially with your, noting that your staff is available to help support us. That's great.
Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to do a tech check. Mr. Secretary, I know Congressman Hoyer was supposed to be here at 9:15. It's 9:14. Is he here yet? If not, I'll move with the agenda.
I don't see him yet. He was going to come on sometime after 9:15 or so. So we'll keep an eye out for him.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep moving the business along because I know, like I said, we have a lot of community presentations and others. So far, so good. So why don't we move along actually in the agenda, HB 226, Anne Arundel County Public Schools, school scheduling options. I'm going to turn it over to the sponsor of the bill to kind of ask for discussion. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This is House Bill 226. This is the school's innovative scheduling that we discussed and voted on last Friday. There was some confusion around one of the amendments, so I would like to move to reconsider the vote on House Bill 226 as it passed. I believe that we can take this as a voice vote if there is a second on the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to reconsider HB 226. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? And again, this is going to be a voice vote. Okay, we have a motion on the floor that's been properly moved and second to reconsider HB 226. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposition? The motion carries. Delegate Bagnall?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So I would like to move to reconsider the amendments that were offered to House 226. As you will recall, there were two amendments that were offered. One that spoke to the sunset and the contractual language, and one that spoke to the hourly employees. So if I could move to reconsider, once again, I believe this can be a voice vote if I can have a second on that motion.
Second.
Is there a second on it? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor to reconsider, please say aye.
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 Any opposition? Okay, I'll turn it back over to the sponsor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So we had a lot of discussion on the amendment, which was House Bill 226/173-625/1. Once again, this was the hourly employees and whether or not we actually needed this amendment. Although it did pass by a simple majority, there was I spent the entire weekend and the week discussing with the school system whether or not this was actually necessary, and we confirmed that it is already part of the bargaining unit, so this amendment would not be necessary. So I would like to withdraw this amendment, and I did confirm earlier with council that because I am the sponsor of the amendment, we do not need a motion to withdraw. So I would like to withdraw the amendment, House Bill 226/173-625/1, and would make a motion to move favorably on House Bill 226 as amended by House Bill 0226/613-422/1. Let me clarify for all of the members, this would put it in the posture that we understood it to pass last Friday, but this is simply a procedural vote to clarify the record.
Okay, I just want to put on record that there was the withdrawal of the sponsor's amendment, and there's been a motion on the floor for HB 226 as amended with HB 0226 Amendment 613-422/1. So just that one amendment. I want to make that clear. I did not hear a second yet, though.
I did second it.
You did. I'm sorry. Thank you, Vice Chair Simmons. And did you want to add anything about the bill or?
No, not in reference to the bill itself. I just wanted to say for the record that we appreciate the work of the delegation and the work that the school board is doing. I just want to continue to thank all the hard work that Dr. Bedell is doing and the school representatives, Anne Arundel County as a whole. We support our school system and we support the employees and staff that work there. So I just want to thank Delegate Bagnall for bringing the bill.
Thank you, Vice Chair Simmons. So we have a motion on the floor that's been properly moved and seconded on HB 226 as amended. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll? We do have to take this.
Okay, this vote on 21 February 2025 is for the reconsideration and the vote for HB 226 with amendment. With amendment 613-422/1. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones.
Yes.
Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman.
Yes, and I would like to thank Delegate Bagnall for all her hard work on the bill.
Delegate Pena Melnick. Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers, Delegate Smith.
Schmidt, yes.
Let's relook. Delegate Barnes, Delegate Pena Melnick, Delegate Rogers, Chair Pruski.
Yes.
House Bill 226 with amendment. The motion carries by a vote of 13-0 with 3 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will continue with the agenda, but I wanted to check if Congressman Hoyer has arrived or not.
No, we don't see him yet.
Okay, we will continue with the agenda. We have to be flexible here to keep moving the Anne Arundel County's business, so we'll continue on. We actually have a bill to have the first hearing, and this is HB 1275, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Constituent Services Liaison Establishment. I'm going to turn it over to the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's absolutely correct. For the record, Delegate Howard, pleased to present HB 1275. It is the Constituent Services Liaison to the Board of Education. This is the genesis was a bill that I brought forth last year. I've done some work on the bill. We got a late reprint last night about 4:52 in the evening that should have been distributed to all of your inboxes. Last year, there was some consternation about the salary qualifications and how the bill delineated salary in the language of the bill that was struck. And it is to be set by the county board. And essentially what I'm trying to do is put someone in place in the Board of Education to help folks navigate special education needs and help them sort of be a resource guide, not only to the board members, but to the community. And I'd love to take any questions.
Excuse me, Delegate Simmons.
Yes, sir, and thank you, Delegate Howard, for bringing the bill. Can you just explain to me where the school system are with this, where the superintendent and the school board is with this bill?
They're not here. I don't see any opposition today. I think the opposition last year was some consternation over unfunded mandate. It was in their budget last year. It was in their budget the year before. It's in their budget, the one they just passed this year. But it's never come to fruition. And quite frankly, we have, school board members that have almost 600,000 constituents essentially in Anne Arundel County. And, it's quite frankly not fair to them. And it's not fair to the community that they really don't have a lot of help when it comes to navigating the issues of, like I said, special education, and also to sort of front face for the board members to the community.
Okay, so is this bill brought by the school system?
No, this bill is brought by me.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much to the bill sponsor. I know that this is an issue that you are very passionate about. I saw that we had an amendment that came in early this morning, and I don't see testimony from the school. So I'm wondering if we could move this to if I could make a motion to move this to the Education Subcommittee for consideration, because I'm on there and I know that we do diligent work as I think you all just saw. So I would love to move this to Education Subcommittee.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor that's been properly moved and seconded to move this to Education Sub. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Well, I'd just like to say I'd love to work on it in subcommittee. The special education piece that's specifically outlined in the bill, the language that came from the subcommittee last year, and I'm really looking forward to moving the legislation forward and working with the subcommittee.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to move the bill to subcommittee. It's been properly moved and seconded. We're going to do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition? Okay, HB 1275 has been moved to Education Subcommittee. Thank you, Delegate Howard, and thank you, Delegate Bagnall, those motions.
Thank you.
I'm going to check one more time, Mr. Secretary, again, because I don't see you. Is Congressman Hoyer on?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, well then we'll continue with our agenda as going, and please just after the presentation interrupt me if he's available, because I want to make sure that we had him on the agenda for everything. So I'll do this each at a time. All right, so our next group, and this is a 5-minute brief presentation, is by Maryland Workforce. I believe I saw our good friend Kirkland Murray, and there may be others here, but I'm going to turn it over to them when you guys are
Mr.
ready.
Chair,
Yes.
Congressman Hoyer's here.
Oh, Mr. Murray, my apologies. We'll get to you in a second. Congressman Hoyer, welcome. Can you hear us?
There, yep, you bet.
Okay. You have the floor, sir. We had Congresswoman Elfreth present to us earlier, and now we're going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here today.
Well, I probably feel badly that I'm probably not going to be able to give you more information than Congresswoman Elfreth has, because we're very in preliminary stages of what the so-called DOGE committee is doing, and having great impact not only on federal employees, of which both Sarah Elfreth and I have a lot, and Maryland has a lot, but also on government spending, which Maryland gets a lot of, because we do a lot of enterprises that the Congress has decided and the administration has decided need to be done. But this administration has come in with a barrage of actions by not only the president, but also by Elon Musk, who is heading up this effort for the president. And they are doing so in a way that, I think is illegal in many respects. The Constitution clearly mandates that Congress not only raises money, but directs how it should be spent. There's a new OMB director. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard about Russell Vogt. And his theory is that the executive department, that the numbers that we pass in the Congress or in the legislature are ceilings. So that if we pass something and say, objective A, we're going to spend $100 on to do A, B, and C, that the administration, the executive, the president in our case, can make a determination, no, we can spend up to $100. So we may spend 10, we may spend 50, we may spend 75, but we don't have to spend the 100. Now, obviously, there are administrative decisions that have to be made, but in effect, the Impoundment Act of 1974 said that Nixon could not simply say, well, the Congress said, we're going to do this program, we're going to spend this much money, but I'm not going to do it. Because obviously that then substitutes his judgment, or if we have ever liked a woman, her judgment, for the Congress's judgment, contrary to Article 1 of the Constitution. So this administration has come in, unlike the first time Trump was president. He now, in my opinion, believes he has a lot of confidence, a lot of knowledge, and he doesn't need advice and counsel. He doesn't need to take the time to figure out, do we need this expenditure? Do we need this employee? Should we be doing this job? And if he make a determination no in all three of those instances, he would come to the Congress and say, we ought to eliminate program A, B, or C. And the Congress would make a decision. But obviously that is not occurring. It is a judgment that's being made. The first thing he did was froze all contractual funding, which meant that every person who had a contract with the federal government was cut off immediately. I had an awful lot of people come in here who had contracts. They wouldn't be able to meet their payroll the following week, et cetera, et cetera. I think all of you have probably talked to people in that category. In addition, of course, they granted a lot of pardons to people who had, some of whom had 20-year felony sentences for attacking police officials. As you know, we lost 2 police officials in that January 6th attack. And many of the people, almost all of the people that were involved in that and got significant sentences, were pardoned by the president. He paused all spending on the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the last bill we passed in the 117th Congress, and a lot of contracts had been let for the money that was appropriated. And in addition, the IRS was given additional funding because we had $700 to $800 billion on the table, due and owing to the federal government, but unpaid. And there were not insufficient folks to review these particularly complicated tax returns to determine whether or not what was owed was being paid. Obviously, with the president's proposal now to drop 7,000 of those people, 7,000, we will have real problem figuring out what kind of revenue will be coming in, which will then ultimately affect the states. One concern I think all of you have, because every one of you has a significant number of federal employees in your districts. They are now in turmoil. They're fearful. They're angry, obviously, but they're much more importantly very anxious as to what's going to happen. Now, that is being caused by a DOGE, which is presumably to affect efficiencies in the federal government. If you don't have some sorts of sense of stability in your employees, having efficiency is going to be a tough thing to get. We do not know what the ultimate result will be. Many of the actions that have been taken by this administration, as you know, have been stopped, at least temporarily, by courts at various different levels. So we'll have to see what happens with those. But we have a civil service system. That civil service system is one of the best in the world. It is a civil service system designed to make sure that we don't have political hacks being appointed to every position within the federal government, and that professional capability and responsibility and performance will be the test, not political loyalty or political party or past support. So our employees, many of our employees in the state of Maryland are very, very upset. Defense funding, you saw, and in Anne Arundel County, we have, and Prince George's County, a lot of defense funding in Southern Maryland. The new Secretary of Defense has said they want to cut 8% of federal spending per year for the next 5 years. Now, it's unclear whether that's going to be a savings or they're going to repurpose that money. In other words, take it from one pot or one objective to another objective. Now, administrations do that, and there's a process to do that, and that process is to come to the federal government and to repurpose or to transfer money from one account to another, but the Congress has to approve that. Or more specifically, the appropriations committees of each house, the House and the Senate, have to do that. So I really can't tell you at this point in time what exactly will be available to us, but that we're talking about billions of dollars in the federal system that comes to employees and contractors in the state of Maryland. Virginia is in the same boat. So the last thing I will say is that we have not funded the fiscal year 25 budget year, which ends on September 30th of this year. On March 14th, we will have to fund either through a continuing resolution, which says you're going to go ahead and spend in 25 the same thing you spent in 24, or we're going to have to adopt a new budget authorization for expenditures after the 14th of March. So frankly, after the 14th, we'll have a better idea of what in fact is going to be available and what will be coming to the state of Maryland. That's assuming we pass something. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Hoyer. We appreciate you stopping by. I know that we always appreciate you coming, and if anybody has any questions, I know they can reach out to your staff. Briefly, Delegate Jones, did you have something?
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you so much, Congressman Hoyer, for all that you are doing. Dana Jones from Annapolis, capital city. I am so very concerned as I am being obviously reached out to by so many federal employees in Arundel County. I looked into trying to find accurate numbers for how this would affect our county, and we fall third in the state for the most W-2s by the most recent count of the comptroller's office. And that undercounts those in the intelligence community, right? Which we know we have so many in Anne Arundel County. So thank you for the work you're doing for all of these federal employees. My folks are scared. They're worried. They've already lost their jobs or already been locked out in one way or another. So thank you so very much. Thank you, Chair.
Well, Delegate Jones, thank you very much. It is a terrible situation that we have created. The first action the administration took was to essentially offer a buyout to 2 million federal employees. 2 million. One of them, one of the agencies was the NSA, which keeps us safe and secure, and has been extraordinary since January, since 9/11. That we haven't had a major crisis since 9/11. We've had a lot of crises, but nothing like 9/11. In addition, they sent out a notice to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And those employees were laid off for a period of time, and they found out that there were not sufficient regulators to allow the nuclear plants to operate, because they have to be overseen, as you know, by a regulator. Calvert Cliffs is in Calvert County, major nuclear energy producer. And so they had to ask those people to come back. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, did not have sufficient people to oversee the production of our food, to make sure that they were following the rules, to make sure it was safe. So it was done with a meat axe as opposed to a scalpel. And it was clearly done with the objective of reducing numbers, which they accomplished, but not reducing numbers in a way that did not adversely affect the safety and security of the citizens of our country. And so we're not going to know for some period of time, I think, because much of what they're doing is working itself through the court systems. And secondly, we won't know for some period of time how these reductions are adversely affecting the services to our people.
Thank you.
And that's why they're so scared.
Yeah, thank you, Congressman, and thank you, Delegate Jones. Quickly, Vice Chair Simmons, because I know the Congressman needs to leave, and we also have 3 other presentations before floor at 10 o'clock.
Sure. I'll try to be as quick as possible. Welcome again, Congressman Hoyer. How you doing? Delegate Gary Simmons in District 12B, Northern Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Delegate Simmons.
Senator Lamb. Just want to ask you a question pertaining to our national institutions here, the Fort Meade cluster, along with the Navy Yard. One of the biggest concerns about both of those installations are staffed with a lot of contractors.
Yep.
In support roles, and with them being their contracts being in jeopardy or their employment being in jeopardy, is the federal delegation here in Maryland monitoring our federal institution installations to make sure that we're able to respond to the need for unemployment. So we're moving people towards state jobs away from the federal system.
Well, obviously, we're coordinating with the governor's office and on the impact that we know of at this point in time. It is amazing. You would think this administration had been in office for at least a year. This is essentially 30 days. We're 30 days into this administration. And every day has brought new challenges to the federal government, new actions by the administration to either stop contracts being paid. That's Delegate Simmons, you asked a question about contractors. We have a lot of contractors. They are not federal employees, but they are reliant on the federal cash flow to pay their people every week or every bi-week or every month. So not only are the federal employees deeply concerned and fearful, but a lot of contractors fall in the same category. The answer to your question, though, is the answer is yes. The federal delegation from Maryland, our two senators and the 8 delegates, 8 representatives, are making sure that we get out information as fast as we get it. Again, as I said, we're not going to know the ramifications of these actions for some period of time. It may be a month, it may be 2 months, it may be 6 months, it may be a couple of years before we really find out how much service to the American people that they need was adversely affected. And the
Yes,
irony
thank
is
you.
this is all being done by a group that's called government efficiency objective, causing great inefficiency, great fear, and the morale of our federal employees is dropped through the floor. And that's not what you want to do to get efficiency.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your service.
Yeah. And we'll keep you informed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair Simmons. Congressman Hoyer, as always, thank you again for stopping in. We appreciate you. I know that if folks have questions, your staff has always been helpful when we reached out, and we really appreciate everything you're doing. And thank you for coming by today.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Look forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you. I know we're going to move forward now with our agenda, the Maryland workforce. Again, I appreciate your patience as we go through the presentations today. I believe Kirkland Murray is here to present to us. We want to welcome you. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members of the Arundel County delegation. Thank you for this opportunity. So first, let me start picking up on the conversation from both of our leaders in Congress. And around the Workforce Development Corporation, we're closely monitoring what's going on, and we're here to help any federal employee or contractor who is unfortunately downsized or let go. So please, if your constituents are reaching out to you, we're here to help with them filing unemployment claims, and definitely here help them to transition to new employment if that's what they look to do. We're working with the county now and looking to put together a hiring event and where we will, have many of the county agencies, state agencies, city agencies that are looking to fill positions to be able to connect them to. So please reach out to us for that. That's what we're here for. We do this day in, day out to make sure that people get back into the labor force as soon as possible if they're unfortunately, disconnected from employment. But also what I'd like to talk to you guys real quickly, and I know we're limited on time and I'll be respectful of your time. I sent out some information on Anne Arundel Student Career Excellence Initiative. This is our Blueprint Pillar 3 Career Counseling Initiative. Again, as you guys are keenly aware, Blueprint passed. And one of the pillars really talks about the partnership between the local school systems, the local workforce boards, and the community college to make sure that all middle and high school students receive career counseling starting in the middle schools. In Anne Arundel County, we're fully implemented. We've hired 40 career coaches that are in each of the middle schools and each of the high schools. So really working with those students to prepare them for careers. We're doing a real deep dive and starting in the middle school and helping them to understand their work values, their strengths, aptitudes, and abilities, and then connecting those strengths, aptitudes, and abilities to careers. And in the middle school, continue working with them to give them opportunities to do a deep dive in career exploration through guest speakers, through field trips, through other ways of having them to really experience these careers that they're interested in. And then as they transition to the high school, we're really making sure that, that they're still interested in these careers and giving them more opportunities and exposure to these careers, at the same time really connecting them so while they're in high school, they're getting the education that they need to go into these careers, making sure that in the 10th grade, once they are deemed college and career ready through the assessments that's done in the 10th grade, that they're on a post-CCR pathway that aligns to those careers. That may mean taking more advanced courses like AP and IB, or dual enrollment at our community college, or CT or youth apprenticeship. But the ultimate goal is to make sure that every high school student graduates from Anne Arundel County ready to go into the workplace, the workforce. No matter if they're going to college first or if they're going into the military, doing the governor's service year, or going straight into the workforce, that they are prepared with those skills that employers are looking for. We know that there's a big cost to this blueprint, but this is one part of blueprint that will actually have a return on investment. As many of you all know, that in Anne Arundel County and the state of Maryland, that our labor force has not rebounded from COVID 100%. Having these students prepared to go right into the labor force and better prepared to these jobs will definitely have that return on investment for Anne Arundel County and the state of Maryland. Having them going into good quality jobs that will help them to advance on their career, be more, pay more taxes, be able to buy a home, all those things that keep our economy here in Anne Arundel County going. So it's been our privilege as part of the workforce system here in Anne Arundel County to partner with our local school system and our community college to really do this work and prepare. I know that some are looking to strip the career counseling and go back to what it was before with the school system doing this. Before Blueprint, when the school system was doing this, they were really focusing on kids going to college. One of the things that this initiative has changed is to really look at those kids who are going to college and make sure they're prepared, but also really working for those individuals who are not going to college. So I really appreciate the support that the legislature has passed to make sure that the local workforce boards are included in this very important initiative to help the future of to build our future workforce. There is a bill that's coming up, HB 772, that will continue this program as it is now established. We do have an opinion that this will not add any cost to this. This will be part of the school system foundational funding. So this will not add any additional cost to Blueprint. So again, I just want to thank you all and thank you for your opportunity and the great work that you guys are doing here in Anne Arundel County. And again, just a reminder that any of your constituents that are impacted by what's going on in Washington, D.C., and they're looking to get back into the workforce or need workforce services or assistance with UI, please send them our way. We'll be glad to help them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the Anne Arundel County delegation, for giving me this opportunity to speak to you this morning.
Thank you. Vice Chair Simmons.
I was getting the music in the background. I didn't know if that was for me or not. Mr. Kirkland, thank you, and thank you, staff, for all the hard work y'all are doing. As an agency, y'all have really grown and met the need of the residents of Anne Arundel County. I just want to invite you to continue to make sure that you're sending us information about what is taking place in that space so that we can put it out to our constituents in real time, and to make sure that you also keep an open mind to invite out the delegates to your facilities so that they can see all the wonderful work that is going on there. So I would look to see some invitations coming from you at the session so we can come through and visit with the center. Thank you, and I appreciate all your service.
Well, thank you, Delegate Simmons. You've always been a great supporter of ours, and we really appreciate all your support. We would definitely make sure that the delegation is aware of all the services that we're providing to your constituents. And definitely, I always love throwing a party and having guests at our career center.
That's right. I'm just trying to get them from being afraid of coming up to 12B. So just want them to know that we got some great things going on up there as well. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair Simmons, and a point of personal privilege. Kirkland Murray, I were in the best class ever, Leadership Maryland class of 2022. So just to let everybody know that, but I do want to thank him, because even my service on the council now, I want to continue with Vice Chair Simmons' comments about the partnerships. If you listen to the presentation, it is so important when we have challenging times to make sure you have partnerships, the counseling piece, the working out to employers. And I know there's evidence of that in Anne Arundel County, because I've had constituents reach out and thank me that went through workforce development and making sure. So Mr. Murray, thank you again for all that you do. I appreciate the invite. And I ask any delegate who wants to go and see what happens there, the good work that goes on every day to partner with those businesses and helping our employers, but helping our employees as well. So thank you again for coming today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Delegate Schmidt, did you have your hand up? I didn't know if you were just waving or...
Now count me in. I'd love to go.
Okay. Well, we'll get you
Love
an
to have
invite.
you out, sir.
Maybe find a career there. While I'm there, maybe find a fourth career.
Well,
Glad to help you.
Thank you again. And we're going to move on. I believe I saw John Curran from Bike Anne Arundel County. So I'm going to turn it over to him. John, always
Yep.
great.
Thank you, Chair Pruski. LAA 2013. In fact, Bike AAA was our project 2013 and still going strong. I work with a coalition of bicycle and pedestrian advocates from across Maryland. We advocate for this because it reduces traffic congestion, it promotes health, it protects our environment, and it makes Maryland a more affordable place to live if we can provide safe ways to bike and walk. But sadly, last year, 570 people were killed on Maryland roadways, and over 40% of them were traveling outside of a vehicle. And so we have a host of bills in the current session. You should all have a two-pager with a list of those bills. We ask for your support for all of them. I will not walk through all of the bills, but what I would encourage is if you have questions, all of you are probably drivers. All of you are probably pedestrians. In fact, you'll be running over to the State House any minute now. And but most of you are not used to biking around in the vicinity of cars. If you have questions of what it's like from a bike seat with any of these bills, any confusion, please reach out to me ahead. Most of these bills are through committee hearings. One has already passed the House. Most will be coming up for a committee, and then House and Senate votes soon. So I ask your support for all of these bills. Some are rules of the road. Some have to do with speeding, impairment, and other unsafe behaviors that are absolutely treacherous to people walking and biking. Happy to answer any questions, but I want to get my friend Romy up here.
Thank you again, Mr. Corn. It looks like Delegate Schmidt has a question or comment.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Corn, for all the work that you do. I know we hear a number of these bills in judiciary. I have two questions. You said 573 people. I thought that number was closer to like 1,500 that we've lost on roadways in Maryland the last year.
No, in 2024, it was just over 570. If you go to Zero Deaths Maryland, you can Google Zero Deaths Maryland as a dashboard. It will show you year by year statistics on fatals. But yeah, it was total fatalities on the road in Maryland is just over 570 in 2024.
Okay. And then, you know, we lost someone the other night, Tuesday night in Linthicum area. I'm sure you're aware of that.
We lost a pedestrian in Linthicum, and we
crazy.
lost a cyclist on Ritchie Highway in Pasadena.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm talking about. Yeah. It just shocking to me to see that Wednesday when we were in committee hearing a bill Tuesday night late. And
I talked to
two
Carolyn
people,
Grammas from the state's attorney's office, who was there at the outside the judiciary as well about that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your work. You're always there.
I appreciate your support, Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Corn, as always, to give us an update from your advocacy for our bikers and folks. Is there any other questions from the delegation? Well, thank you again. And we did get the sheet, so everyone has the handout that you provided. And if anybody has any questions, they can follow up. But thank you again, Mr. Corn, for coming today.
Thank you, Chair Pruski.
Thank you. All right, our last group, when we move on is to New Village Academy. I think I see a few familiar faces. Mr. Stanton, always good to see you. Ms. Pittman, and I believe Ms. Lane is here. I'm not sure who was presenting, but I want to welcome you all. And again, thank you for your patience. I know sometimes we have a lot on our agenda, and especially these days we're trying to get through, but thank you for being here. And I'll turn it over to you guys for a presentation.
Well, thank you so much for having us. Patience is a virtue, and I'm here because of family values. So really excited about that. And I learned that from my family. Would you all mind sharing so that enable the sharing so we could share our slides, please? While that happens, let me just thank you, Chairman Pruski, Vice Chair Simmons, and the Anne Arundel County delegation in whole for having us this morning to present. It's an honor to present on behalf of the New Village Academy, high school done differently. It's been my family's legacy in Anne Arundel County to create entities, systems, and content that helps people live healthier and happier lives. And we'll hear from Romy Pittman, our visionary and head of school, will be just that, how we plan on doing it. Romy?
Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be here and to be able to talk to you about New Village Academy. Looks like we are not going to be able to share slides. So I'll just go ahead. We are so excited to be able to share more with you about this school. We've met with some of you individually. Great lineup today. I don't know if it was literally every single agenda item seemed to impact us directly, including Kirk and John, who are both partners of New Village Academy. Is there, nope, still not getting the slides. Okay, so New Village Academy, I am Romy Pittman. I am have been in education for 27 years and have founded 6 different schools in one capacity or another. And I made this crazy decision about 6 years ago to go back into the classroom as a teacher at Annapolis High School. And I was really interested in sort of tackling this issue that's kind of identified as the engagement cliff. It sounds very dramatic, but it's where elementary students feel so engaged in learning, but by high school, less than 1/3 of students report feeling interested in school. And that issue is even worse for kids who are farthest from opportunity. And it's a really complicated issue and a long-standing one, but it has become literally a full-on epidemic since social media and the pandemic. And it has become an issue that we just have to do something about. It's not an easy fix. It's not an add-on. It's not the fault of students. It is a structural issue that's inherent in the way that we do high school. So I invited this wonderful group of students who were in my classes to help me learn about what they thought needed to change. They were all students who were disengaged or frustrated with school. And we began this year-long journey where we together redesigned high school. And they became our youth advisory board and are still involved in designing our curriculum and interviewing teachers and have been really integral to our process, along with our amazing board, including Darius Stanton, our board chair. There have been about 40 years of a really important research on motivation that identify these 4 conditions that make all of us really want to feel motivated and invested and work hard at something. So autonomy, mastery, purpose, and belonging are the 4 kind of categories. And we have this theory of action that if New Village Academy can create the conditions where students really want to work hard, then students themselves will actually harness the power of their own motivation to transform their educational outcomes and their lives and their communities. And so we built our school around those 4 ideas, those 4 conditions. So we talk about students being known, connected, empowered, and accountable. And we use structures to really make sure that each of those happens, where students really feel a sense of belonging in school, where most of their curriculum is tied in with community issues and that students are actively involved in solving those issues as part of their science, social studies, and literacy curriculum. That students are out in internships and apprenticeships. So our connection with Anne Arundel Workforce Development is incredibly important to us in that capacity. And then that they're accountable in ways that really show everybody their progress, but also keep them accountable to real people in the real world for doing high quality work. We have this wonderful partnership with the city of Annapolis and with tons of organizations, including John's organization in the city, to really make the city of Annapolis our classroom. Even the mayor and the county council have agreed to host internships and to call on our community action teams to help research and solve local challenges like the issue of gun violence or the housing crisis or flooding in downtown, all of which came up today, interestingly. And we hope the General Assembly members will do the same thing. And most people in our community know this about us. They know that we are the school in the mall. That's kind of how we're known by students and parents and families. And that location in the mall is really important to us as putting students at the center of economic activity and helping transform our mall. So we're really grateful for your support of House Bill 1259. And this final vote is really important to us to be the sort of linchpin to be able to move forward with the academy. We have been super honored to be supported by so many different groups. The county's given us $500,000. We've got a $2 million federal grant that we hope will stay in place. We've been awarded one of the most innovative public schools in the country by New Schools Venture Fund. And we are hopefully in the next coming years, when the budget is not so tight, coming to you to ask for an LBI to continue to support our work. But we're incredibly grateful for what you've been able to do so far to help us move forward. And we hope you'll continue to stay connected with us as our students come into the community and into hopefully state delegation offices to learn more about how the world works. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pittman. Yeah, I know there was an internet connection there. We try and keep the things in, so hopefully everyone got to hear your remaining presentation. Thank you again for coming, and Mr. Sant, Ms. Lane. Are there any questions from the delegates in regards to the presentation? Awesome. Well, thank you again. We appreciate you all. And I'm sure that if anybody has any questions on the slides or information, they will reach out to you. I know that was sent out to all the delegates.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you allowing us to do it at such short time as well. Peace and love.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day. That is all that I have on the agenda. This is just a quick reminder to the delegates again, that if you've not paid your dues, please do so. I think that Mr. Secretary will be paying a visit to your office to remind you. So please have those ready. Those do go to, obviously, the hospitality and other things that we have for the thing. Seeing no other business, is there a motion
to adjourn?
Is there a second? Okay. This motion is now adjourned. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great day. And thank you again. Have a wonderful day.